Hey, hello, happy Tuesday. This is Jack Tubbs from the J Team at Realty One in Surprise, Arizona. Hoping that you are having a fantastic day and you are staying warm because it is a little bit chilly out here today. Hey, I want to continue on with what I've been talking about. We've been talking about all different closing costs or settlement costs, as you will. We've talked about all the things that come up front. We also talked about things that go into escrow. Now I want to talk about some of the other costs that are also associated with a real estate transaction, with closing a real estate transaction or settling it, depending on what language you see used, and depending if you have attorneys involved and all those kinds of things too. But first off, there's a thing called the settlement fee, and there's always a buyer's portion, there's always a seller's portion, and this is paid by the escrow/title company as they drop all the new deed, they drop all the different forms that are included in a transaction. Also, if in some states you have to have an attorney involved in a real estate transaction. I know New York is one of them, and they will also have a settlement fee that some is paid by the seller, some is paid by the buyer, and this is basically for services rendered for, once again, drawing up deeds, recording the deed with the county, doing all these other papers, drawing up the estoppel certificate, all the other certificates and other paperwork that's included in the transaction, the certifications that the purchase agreement or the purchase contract has been followed to the T, acknowledging that you've seen the seller's disclosures, you've also seen the lead-based paint disclosures, all these other documents that are included with a real estate transaction. The title company / escrow company or attorney, if there's an attorney involved, are going to charge you fees not only to drop these documents, but also to walk you through and make sure that you agree with everything that's on those papers that they drop. Now there's an HOA fee. These fees are usually paid in advance by the owner, so sometimes you're going to have to do what they call a prorated amount back to the owner. Sometimes they're monthly, sometimes they're not. But sometimes if it's a smaller fee, that's paid in an annual basis or a semi-annual basis. And most of the time when you have an HOA involved and the seller's up to date, you're going to prorate back to them what they paid. Like let's say you close the 15th of the month, but they've already paid for the whole month. So you know what? You're going to pay them back for the last 15 days of the month because you're taking ownership on the 15th day of the month. So you're going to pay them back for what they've already paid out. And that's called a proration. We do that with HOA fees. We do that with taxes, sometimes insurances and other things, depending on what kind of property is and how the transaction is structured. Owner's title insurance, once again, you are going to pay for this because, actually, well, it depends. It depends on what state you're in, what is usual and customary in your state. Usually the seller will buy you a new title policy. So this will not be paid by the buyer, but it will be paid by the seller. And basically what this is to ensure the title of the property, to make sure that it's free of loans and encumbrances, so that when you take possession of it, the only lien that should be, if you're not buying cash, will be the mortgage that you are taking out to purchase the property. And that should be the only lien or encumbrance upon the property when you take ownership. Now, you may agree to pay some back taxes, back HOA fees, other things that may have been levied on the property for a reduced purchase price on the home. But that's all depending on the situation and how things are negotiated through the negotiation process. Now, pest inspections. Usually a pest inspection is only required with a VA loan, with a Veterans Administration loan. So if there is one, and the VA requires that the seller pay for this inspection, that the buyer, that the serviceman or woman that's buying a home is not encumbered with that expense, so they make the seller pay this expense. But sometimes, depending on the situation, the buyer will pay for his pest inspection, especially if it's an area that's known to have termites or other wood-destroying organisms. And that's basically to make sure that the structure's sound, that there are no problems, and if there any remediation has to be done of any wood-destroying organism, that it's usually going to be paid by the seller, because it's usually a situation that existed while the seller still owned the home. So it's going to be an obligation to the seller to pay for any remediation, any fumigating, fogging, whatever it takes to get rid of a wood-destroying organism. And most of the time it's going to be termites, but there are carpenter ants and other organisms out there that can do significant damage to a home by eating away at the wood. So pest inspections, the inspection itself, depending upon the kind of transaction, like I said, if it's a VA, the seller is going to pay for it. But if it's the purchaser, and it's a regular purchase, bank owned, whatever, unless otherwise specified, the buyer is going to pay for it. But any remediation needed as to the results of that inspection are going to be paid by the seller. Hey, that's what I'm going to stop with today. We got about 4 more closing costs that are associated with a real estate transaction, but just one of these things to let you know that what could be in store as you go forward to purchase your first home, when you go forward to sell your home for the first time. These are some of the costs and some of the things that you have to keep in mind as you move forward in the transaction. And once again, if you have any questions or if I can be of any help at all, you know what, you can get a hold of me. You can dial me direct at 248-330-7972, or you can email me, Jack, Jack, at the J Team, THE, the letter J, TEAM, .house, or you can call the office and talk to any member of my team at 623-252-4061. That's 623-252-4061. Hey, this is Jack Tubbs from the J Team at Realty One in Surprise, Arizona, wishing you a fantastic Tuesday. See you tomorrow. We're going to finish up talking about the closing costs that are associated with a real estate transaction. Bye-bye.